As we kick off season 2, I want to say something at the outset. If you're struggling with making the things that you want or need to make, it doesn't mean that you're undisciplined or distracted or doing it wrong. In the conversations you're about to hear, no one's talking about creativity as something that they can force. They're talking about it as something that depends on conditions: time, space, safety, care. And what keeps coming up is this idea that creativity doesn't fail because people don't want it badly enough, or that they're not trying hard enough. It falters when conditions around it are wrong, or missing, or constantly under pressure. So, this episode is a brief collection of voices talking honestly about what creativity actually needs to survive inside the lives that we actually live. Not ideal lives, real ones. Ones like yours and like mine. So, if you've been trying to make something work without the right conditions, I hope that this feels less like advice, more like recognition and a sense of company. Over the course of this season, you'll hear a few more shorter episodes like this, designed to stand on their own and that speak directly to the practical realities of creative life. Off we go. Enjoy.
It was it was just about work-life balance. I was working on average 60 to 80 hours a week. Sometimes 100-hour work weeks were not uncommon. And also because I spent a decade in the nonprofit world, it was really difficult to pivot and start. Suddenly I'm working on a PowerPoint deck at 3 a.m. for the CMO of IBM on cloud computing. And I'm just and I had there's no ethical dilemma that I had really with any of our clients there. But it was a big 180 from what I was used to, and that feeling of being really passionate about the mission of the work, and which helps, I think, because if you have a hard day and shitty things happen in your job, it helps to remind yourself well, I really believe in what we're doing and my role in that future state of what we're trying to build together. And so when I set out on my own, I said, one, I wanted to have more freedom and flexibility and control over my time. My wife and I were thinking about starting a family at the time, and sure enough, we had our first child, a year later. But I think more importantly, I wanted to do work that was mission driven. I wanted to work mostly with nonprofits.
Oh, I 100% toggle, and I think you can only do something like this if you're a natural toggler, if that's a term. But yeah, no, because it's something I think about a lot, and that article was really interesting because it really clarified oh my god, that's kind of what's going on. And even as my design practice is great. I get to be creative every day and sort of earn a living at it. But yeah, it does become frustrating because I'm also the manager and I'm also the scheduler and I'm on payroll and all those things. So even within that, not even talking about my art practice, some clients, I'm just I'll be in meetings constantly and I'm just well, when am I supposed to do the sort of work that you've actually hired me to do? So it's sort of split there, but and then it's doubly split in your creative practice. So when Matthew and I were working on our last project, we had amazing blocks of time. It was I hadn't been in maker mode 100% for that long amount of time, probably since grad school, maybe even, or some residencies that I did. And you really, really got to kind of shift back and forth. I also enjoy the sort of logistical part and and the organizational part too. That's also part of my brain. So I don't hate it, but they definitely get out of whack. And you're just yeah, and it's funny because you're just oh, and I've got this block of time that I can go off and be creative, but it doesn't you can't just flip it on and flip it off. Like it's like you need a couple hours at least, or like a weekend to like just get into the groove again. So yeah, it's a tough thing.
It's funny because in the beginning, I don't think I did. Like, I have to go back and see when I started doing more solo episodes. I think after having my son, I just didn't have as much time. And then I realized maybe my interviewing wasn't going to be as consistent. So what type of other content could I do that would help bring people in? I think like early on, actually I do remember because I talked about the car accident early on. I think I realized like people were interested in the evolution of me. And I had a lot of coaches. I think even now I haven't listened to them 100%. They always said you have to build your personal brand. People aren't listening to Dreams and Drive because it's Dreams and Drive. They're listening because you are in the driver's seat doing the interviews. And if there was another interviewer, it might not be the same. Well, it wouldn't be the same show. So I think I was very hesitant on leaning into that. I'm like, I don't want to share. I don't want to do this. But I realized like people want to connect. And it was the biggest thing having a baby during the pandemic. Or even when I lost my job, or not even lost my job, when I quit my job and was doing the solo thing for a while. It was part of the dream driving journey. And I had a coach who told me, you need to be honest about where you are in your own journey, because that's kind of the whole it factor of the show, is being able to share that you're also doing this as well, or you're also trying to figure it out as well. So I think that was like the big impetus for me, was like to be real with my listeners. Of course, like, there's always a big mix between like being private and then sharing personal things. Like there's a way to share your personal life where you still have privacy, right? But at the same time, it wouldn't be fair to not update people on what's going on, because I think like even becoming a mother informed so much of my whole world perspective. The lens by which I saw the world has changed. And so I think I needed to inform people about, now I can ask people. When people talked about death and grief before, I wasn't able to connect. Like, I've lost people, but they were distant relatives. Like my dad and my grandma were the first huge big losses in my life. Being a parent, you cannot understand what it's like to be a parent until you're actually in the shoes of raising a child. And there's so much about, like, even questions I asked in the past, I was so embarrassed. Or even I used to do interviews at 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, why was I asking women with kids to do that at that time? But I just didn't know, So it definitely impacted the way I did the podcast.
In doing this, we're lucky that we get to build community with artists we don't know. And I think of that as really starting from the moment that somebody applies to the residency. We want, from the moment somebody reads our website, to feel like they're getting the information that they need and that they're being respected no matter what their journey through the process is. So we take time with our jury, we take time with our notifications when we're communicating with applicants. And then when we finally have our cohort, in the process of like setting the stage for the residents, we've given a lot of thought to what information they need beforehand, because we know it's a big commitment to come to Karihunk. There's some of our residents are paying tuition, and even if they have a fellowship, they're probably paying to get to the island itself, maybe flying across the country, but at the very least getting to New Bedford, taking the ferry over. So it creates a real, I think by the time everybody arrives on the island, we really want them to be prepared to have a great week. And the stakes are kind of high. We're a little nervous. We're excited to meet them.
Well, Karihunk, it's running a residency on a tiny remote island with no grocery store, a passenger-only ferry that runs just once a day, and just very few resources on the island. It comes with some challenges. And what we want to do at the residency is we want to create an effortless experience for the artists who are arriving, where they only have to bring their personal belongings, their art supplies, and they can just enter the island and focus on their work and finding inspiration and making friends.
What stands out to me after listening to these experiences is how little this is about talent or willpower. People are adjusting. They're adjusting time, expectations, structures, and no one waited for perfect conditions. They made decisions based on what they could sustain. Over time, those decisions shaped the practices, the containers, and the systems that supported their work. If something in this episode stayed with you, you might want to spend more time with these conversations in full as the season unfolds. You don't need to listen to everything. You don't need to keep up. If one voice felt especially relevant to where you are right now, let that be enough. These conversations are here when you need them. Off you go.